like they're having a siesta or some shit.
Yeah, a siesta.
Oh
Right, right.
my god.
You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You get it. You totally get it. And I'm just sitting here like, no, it's not happening.
I
It's
couldn't
not
believe
happening.
you said that.
And it is, you know what I mean? And they can't do anything to me because you can't you have, it's like being a made man or a made woman. You cannot, you have to have just cause. And just cause cannot be her stand on righteousness. So that's what kind of, I don't want to say untouchable, but it's kind of one of those things like, if you touch her, that's gonna be bad karma. And it always is. It always is. Because people attack and they think that they can get away with it. And then they find I am, and then they're like, oh, wait a minute, you know what I mean, type of thing. So it's,
See,
I mean,
for me,
but they still
I
get pissed
I
off.
think they can get to you. It's just like people don't look at it at the more more significant. If the Illuminati in today's time and age wants to get to you, they're not going to like actually go out and hurt you. First of all, they're going to see how important you
No.
are. No, no, I mean like say weird shit starts happening to you, like all of a sudden, money ends up disappearing out of your bank account, or freaking the next thing you
You're
know,
losing your job. You
you're
don't have
losing your
opportunities.
job,
Yes.
okay, and stuff like that, and people
All
are,
your endorsements go out of the way. Yeah. No, trust me.
I
I
mean,
know what they think.
I think if an organization like that is going on, then those are the kind of things that are going on, that are happening, on a different scale. Now, if it was somebody that was important, then that'd be something different. But and don't get me wrong, I don't believe that freaking the Illuminati were fairy tales. I think that what I found is
No, these people are not. I mean,
they just they just they did, it was created, but there's no evidence showing that they went as far as what everybody makes them out to be. But then again, secret societies
yeah,
always
no,
change
absolutely.
names. You know what I mean? They've always changed names. So
Different sectors. I mean, there's so many different branches, and different branches are able to incorporate their own rules, which is why it's just kind of like how Washington D.C. is not a part of the United States, but is in charge of the United States. It's kind of one of those things, you know what I mean? You got you have your Shriners, you have your Skull and Bones. I mean, you have your Prince Hall, Mace. Like, you have so many different branches, and like and from the Masons themselves, the Mason from Illuminati, Masons, and honestly, it's Masons then Illuminati. People tend to get that mixed up because they feel like the Illuminati came first, and then the Masons kind of fall under that one. But it's really, again, just a branch of people having a form or knowledge of power and understanding that what they can do with this form of knowledge of power. Same with even this Crowley guy. The stuff that he says, the stuff that he does, so true. Like, people think 666 is such an evil number, but 666 is not an evil number. 666 is 18. Yes, it can be channeled for evil. We understand that. We understand who Baphomet is, but we also understand that we are Baphomet within the inside. It's just our lower level of light. The only evil that exists is the evil that we are able to create. If we do not create evil, evil does not exist, and that's just the truth. So it's a choice to manifest and to be able to actually associate with and understand, and to kind of internalize and then project evil. And so it's not a matter of this devil with horns and or some crazy looking goat. Like, I remember for a long
you're
time I
talking
got a
about
lot of backlash
Beelzebub.
because
You're talking about
huh?
Beelzebub. When you mention the horns and stuff, you're mentioning Beelzebub. He's the one that has the horns. So,
Yes, and
so
but people feel like it's some guy with a pitchfork. That's the thing; they get mixed up. So this is what I'm saying, though, because I got a long time I got backlash because I had a picture of Baphomet. Because I mean,
a
not to say
Baphomet too.
submit, but to understand who Baphomet is within me, because I have an evil side. I have a side of me that's lower light. We all do. And we can deny it all we'd like to, but it's not the truth. I stand in truth. The only true religion is truth. And that's another thing. I agree with this guy, Crowley. Like, yeah, he says some psycho stuff, but truth be told, the only truth is truth. Now, how they acquire their knowledge, this is my problem. No offense to anyone, but a lot of the knowledge and ancient teachings come from Africa, come from melanin people, and it is then taken, stripped, and kind of condensed, or even I don't want to say it's concentrated. It's not concentrated at all. It's kind of diluted, and it's kind of, we use it as a way of to make, and it looks like when you hear the truth that what you're saying isn't mean because well, we heard this guy do it and he was worshiping the devil. But who is the devil? He was what? Praising the fact that he recognizes his lower light self. He's showing you that this is the side of him that who he chooses to be and portraying it in a godlike concept or a godlike image. But the thing about it is that's where your discernment comes in. You know who you are. You know that you're not an evil person, even if you've done evil things, or maybe you associate with being an evil person. Like I said, there's no such thing as evil. It is only the lower light, the opposite self. When something quote unquote bad happens, that's you projecting this bad situation. And I do it a lot, especially with relationships. I'm really bad. Go too far off into the deep end, but like I'm really, really bad with, okay, you can show me one sign from something that I've already witnessed, and I'm not watching this rerun. I'm going to change the whole channel completely. So now I'm not even who you expected me to be anymore because you showed me something I've already seen before, and I didn't like that show. So I'm going to show you something you don't want to watch anymore in order for you to turn away your attention, and then I can go back to my regularly scheduled program.
That's what it's all about, though. Like even in today's world, I was telling you about sheeple. You know what I mean? And what do you think I mean by the term sheeple? You know what I mean? How do you train freaking
sleeping people, sheep, sleeping people?
How do you train a freaking herd of sheep? You know, I mentioned that before too, and it's very simple. You know what I mean? Nothing has to be complicated when it comes to this stuff. If you just open your eyes and you see things for what they really are. Okay, and I think that's a hard thing for people to comprehend because it has to be romantic. It has to be exciting. You have to have some kind of adventure in the things that you look for. And the truth of the matter is if you want to find a real conspiracy, you look at the boring stuff. You know, these people aren't running around freaking trying to put things in front of your face so that you can see it. They want to go back into the backgrounds and they want to set things up in the background to make it to where you don't know what's going on. Okay, so what they do is they go into these governments and they write up these boring freaking laws that freaking nobody wants to go through and read. You know what I mean?
So, yeah, tell me about it. We civil law today and for history, and like we all were bored, so we took a shortcut.
But no, yeah, right. You see what I mean? Take a shortcut. Nobody wants to read that shit.
We took a shortcut because I wasn't gonna sit there with a 7 and 8 year old.
But that's where civil law. But that's where it is, and they can't relate that is actually a part of the conspiracy. You know what I mean? Like consent laws. All right. People today can finally agree that consent laws exist, but there was a time where they're like, you're so full of shit. And no, it's the truth. You consent to certain things when you frickin' do things. Like when you go into a courtroom, if you don't have the money to frickin' afford an attorney for yourself, they'll give you one. They'll give you this public defender, and they'll have him speak for you.
Well, who you have to do the job for.
But see,
I've won more cases for public defenders than public defenders have won for public defenders, and that's not by choice.
Here's the clincher about that, okay? What a lot of people aren't aware of. It's like when you get an attorney, you give up your right to speak to the court. Okay, the attorney has to speak for you on your behalf, and you have to sit next to him and shut your mouth.
Yep, and swear on the Bible. But if you affirm and you present yourself, which you're able to, because we are sovereigns, but we forget, we don't realize that we're sovereigns. Like this is a corporation.
Here's another thing it goes even further. If you listen to these people run their mouth, they'll also tell you that freaking anybody who tries to defend themselves in court is defending an idiot. You know, little comments like that, because they don't freaking want you to go into court and speak for yourself.
And be smart. Mm-hmm.
You see what I mean? They don't want you to educate yourself to what's being said in court. They want you to get a paid trainer to come in and say the shit for you. You know what I mean?
Because no matter what side you're on, they all work together. See, what
Right.
happens is your lawyer is going to go to your public defender is going to go to lunch with his judge buddies and his other lawyer buddies on the other side. It doesn't matter, plaintiff or defendant. In most cases, they're going to eat together. You're going to be the outcast. I learned this from having a ex-husband who lived in the judicial system. I mean, literally lived there. And so the stuff that, I mean, we won more cases on our own just doing stuff in the law library and me helping him, and then him, like I said, doing the law library, me doing my research, than any lawyer has ever assisted us with. It was me always doing his lawyer's job. It was me finding the information, me telling him what laws need to be rewritten. I was lowering sentences, but because you have a lawyer, you have to present them all the information and have them present it to the court. That's why it's
Right.
better to not have a lawyer.
And it's the same as standing right there in
Like
front
I'll
of the
never
judge.
swear on the Bible.
It's the same thing as sitting there right
When
next to the
yeah,
judge. Okay, if you're sitting in the courtroom, you can't say a word unless the judge asks you to say something, or if your public defender asks for you to have the right to speak. Other than that, you just keep your
yep,
mouth shut. And they don't always go to
yep,
lunch, man. They'll just step on back into the back room, make a quick decision, come out, and this is the way it is. You know, they don't even have to go to lunch together. So, it, and
and that's
my
the truth.
my
They
whole
don't.
my whole point though is the fact that this is just one thing. This is one example, and people have a hard time understanding why that would be a conspiracy. And it's because it's trying to separate you from the
Giving
court
up your
system.
right.
Yeah, you're giving up your right to be
Yeah,
heard. You
you're
know?
giving up your rights. That's why it's a conspiracy.
Yeah.
Consensually saying, "Hey, you know what? I don't mind. You handle it for me." Like it's like when my mom, it's taking power of attorney. Like it's the same thing. And then pretty much, and if you are aware of this, anyone in the medical field, my mother, like I said, is a physician. Anyone in the medical field with power of attorney, even if it's in cases of death, power of attorney rights actually extend through death if you're in the medical field only. So the only time it stops is if you're not in the medical field. But my mother, being a physician and being power of attorney, allows her to make choices after death of something that she may have had power of attorney over. It gives her that opportunity to make choices and say, "Oh, what do you mean he's back alive? Well, let's give him to him
Well,
instead,"
that
type of
also
thing.
that reaches to like exhuming the bodies and stuff too. So like say they have to exhume a body that's
Wait, hold on. Your thing goes crazy. Say it again.
exhuming a body. Like if
Oh.
you're in the medical profession and you have to exhume a body that's been put in the grave, then the physician can okay that. You know what I mean? So you have that going on as well. So say somebody died and they don't have family members, they can go to the physician and the physicians can give them the permission to exhume the body for say
Robin Melton.
so stuff
Hmm.
like that. Which I mean, I've actually heard of that. I think that's kind of strange.
Yeah, it does. It really, and it makes you wonder. But that's because they do so many like experiments and stuff on corpses, and there's so much of the sacrificing that we pretend is non-existent. But the truth of the matter is, this sacrifice exists so that way people can sustain their life because we are able to have a continuation. Especially when you're looking at like that's why I'm not an organ donor. People are like, "Oh, you're so selfish. You're not an organ donor," but they're not going to attempt to save your life at all if you are an organ donor. If you're an organ donor, they're going to kindly tell your family they did everything they can. If they feel like somebody who's a better fit, because we're stocks and bonds, we're all stocks and bond system. The capitalists bet on what they feel like based on certain type of outcomes, certain type of strategies implemented into our existences, how we will respond to them. And so whether or not this happens, this person will still be successful. But if this happens, this person will no longer be successful. If we put this into this factor, and it literally the stock market, and that's why we're a number. That's our social. That's what our social is. Because again, we're a corporation, which is why all of our letters on our IDs are capitalized because you are a corporation. You won't, if it's a proper noun, it's just going to have the first letter capitalized, like I said.
Well, see, that's why I was talking about Maxwell last week because you know how I was talking about birthing, ship
Your number,
birthing,
your
a ship birthing in the port. That's kind of what he was always.
mm-hmm.
That's what that's about.